Hi everyone. Today we are going to be looking at how we can load data from Amazon S3 buckets to Snowflake and sending out email notification when the data lands inside the Snowflake. Okay, and we are going to be using Airflow that is running in an EC2 instance to automate this process. As you can see, we have this Amazon S3 bucket right here where we are going to have a file that we want to load on our Snowflake. Okay, and then when the data gets into Snowflake, an email notification is going to be sent out to the user or to whatever group that needs to get the email or the stakeholders. Okay, and this is how our DAG is going to be. In this case, we're going to have a task here that is checking if the file that we are interested in, if it's present inside the Amazon S3. So we call that is file in S3 available. So that's going to be a sensor that is going to be checking, poking this Amazon S3 bucket to be sure that the file is present in there. If the file is present in the S3 bucket, then it will going to trigger the next task to run, which is going to be a table that is going to be created in the Snowflake. After that is created, then we are going to copy the CSV file into the Snowflake table that we just created here. Okay, now after we are able to successfully copy the CSV into the Snowflake, and that's going to trigger the next task to run, which is going to be a notification, an email notification to the user or to whoever is necessary to receive such email. All right, guys, I hope now you understand what we want to build in this project. All right, let's get going, guys. So the first thing that you will need to do is to create now the first thing we need to do is to create an account on Snowflake. If you don't have an account yet, go to snowflake.com and create an account. Okay, I've explained how to do that also in my previous video, which I am showing right here. In this video where I showed how you can create table and insert records on Snowflake using Airflow that is running on EC2 to automate this pipeline. I have done this for you right here. However, I can also give you guys a quick, explanation right here. If you go to Snowflake, all you have to do, if you don't have an account here, just click Start for Free. When you click Start for Free, it's going to ask you for your first name. So let's assume I say my first name is MA, and my last name is BA. Then we can say my email is ma.ba@yahoo.com. Then I can say my company is MABA Incorporation. Okay, then select your role, data engineer, state, United States or whatever state you are from, right? And then you can click continue. Okay, and here you can choose standard. Okay, when you choose standard, then you are also going to choose your cloud provider that where you want this Snowflake to be connected to. In this case, I'm going to choose AWS. Now you can see that it's asking me for which region. In my case is US West region. You can select yours wherever you are. Okay, and then you can check this and then click get started. Okay, so when just follow this process, okay, and it's going to send you an email for you to verify your email address, after which is going to request you to open up to create a username and a password. Okay, very good, guys. In my case, I have done that. And by the way, the link to this video, I'll put it in the description. Okay, so that if you want to get some ideas of what I did right here in terms of creating tables and inserting records on Snowflake, I highly encourage you to also go watch this video. This is very, very valuable, guys. Okay, all right. Okay, like in my own case, I already have my username. I will type in my username right here. Okay, and then I'll put in my password. Okay, Now sign in. Now I'm signing in right now. Okay, I'll put in my username. Okay, and then I'll put in my password, and then I will sign in. Very good, guys. Now you can see that I've signed in. Okay, so I would go to worksheets. Okay, I click worksheet. All right, so now in your own case, just go ahead and sign up and then sign into your Snowflake worksheets. Okay, just be on this worksheet. All right, guys. So now that you have created your account on Snowflake, okay, you have your username and your password. The next thing we would like to do now is to go on AWS. Okay, so if you go to aws.com or you go to aws.amazon.com, if you don't have an account yet, go ahead and create an account. Okay, create an account, and it's going to ask you for your your debit card or credit card or something. Okay, so now what you have to do right now is we want to create an EC2 instance. Okay, now for us to create an EC2 instance, you can come here and type in EC2, or in my own case, I already put it as part of my favorite. Okay, and that's why you see it right here. You could also do that. How do you do that? Just type in EC2 and click this star to make it your favorite, okay, or one of your favorite. So I'll click EC2. Now we want to create an EC2 instance. Okay, now I'll come to launch instance. Now I'll give my instance a name. Okay, I'll call it airflow_snow_email. Okay, and then I'll select Ubuntu. We want to use Ubuntu right here as our OS image. Okay, and then my instance type, I will select medium. Okay, for those of you that have been watching my previous series on Airflow, you know that I always encourage to either choose small or medium, because for micro is 1 gigabyte and Airflow would need at least 2 gigabytes. Okay, but for me, I prefer to use medium even rather than T2 small, but T2 small also would work, but I think medium will work better. Okay, so let's select that, and then you can create a new key pair here if you don't have a key pair, but in my case, I already have a key pair. If you don't know how to do this, I have videos that I've already showed you guys this. Okay, you go and watch that. I'll put those videos in the description, okay, so that if you want to revert to those, you can go check them out. Okay, however, in my own case, I have the key pair I'm going to be using already. I will select this, okay, and then I'll come to security groups. I will just check these ones right here, and then I will do launch instance. Okay, now as you can see, now it is launching my instance right here. So if I click these instances, you can see right here, Airflow Snow email. Now this is pending right now. Okay, now it's being launched for us right here. Let me refresh. It's still in pending. I'll pause this video for a few seconds or 1 minute and come back. All right, guys, now you can see that our EC2 is in running state. Even if you refresh it, let's see what happens. You can see still in running state. Is in running state right now and is initializing. Okay, now while that is going on, what I would like us to do right here, first of all, is for us to update the security group of this EC2. So why do we want to update security group? We want to update it so that we can open the port where Airflow is going to be running. Okay, so if I check this, then I'll come to security, then I'll click security groups. If I click security groups, then make sure you are under inbound rules, then come to edit inbound rules, and then I will say add rule. So I'll leave it as custom TCP, and then I'll put 8080. That is the port in which Airflow is going to be running. Okay, and then I will put this to be anywhere IPv4. If you want to do my IP, that's also fine, but I will do this so anywhere I can access this. Okay, then I will save the rule. Okay, very good. Let me go back to my EC2 right now, guys. Okay, now we know that this is running. I can come right here, instances, so that you can see all the you can see that these are all my other EC2 that I have, but those are stopped right now, they are not running. So this one I will check, this one that is running right now. Then you come to connect, click connect. Okay, when you click connect, make sure you are in this tab right here, EC2 instance connect, and click connect right here. So this is going to open up for us a connection or a terminal where we can do other things that we want to do. I will close here. So now what we want to do now is we want to install some dependencies. Take note, we want to install dependencies on which in our machine right now. Okay, now the first thing we are going to be doing is to update sudo apt updates, and also I'm going to be giving you these commands in the description. Okay, so this is going to run right here. It will take a few seconds. Okay, that's completed. Then I'm going to paste sudo apt install python 3-pip. That is the Python package manager. So I'll say yes. Okay, wow, that is running. We'll be ready for the next dependency we want to install. So this is running right here. It's almost done. Okay, I'll click on that and I'll say enter. Click enter. Okay. Now the next thing we are going to be installing will be our virtual environment. Okay, we are doing a sudo apt install python 3.10-venv. So I'll do yes. Okay. So I'll click on that and I'll do enter. Okay, very good. And then the next thing we would like to do right now is, now let us create our virtual environment right now. For those of you that have been following my videos, you know how to do this right by now. Python 3-mvenv. So the name of our virtual environment is airflow_snow_venv. I'll click that. So that is creating our virtual environment. Very good, that is done. Now let us activate our virtual environment. So I will do a source, then the name of your virtual environment /bin/activate. I'll do that. You can see now that is activated. Okay, very good, guys. Now the next thing I want us to do is now let us install our airflow. Okay, so that's going to be sudo pip install apache-airflow. Click enter, let that install. I'll pause the video and resume back while that is installing. Okay, now we have finished installing airflow. Now the next couple of things we are going to be installing are going to be the packages for Snowflake. Remember, we are going to be using Snowflake here, so we need to install a provider for Snowflake. Okay, so we are going to do a pip install apache-airflow-providers-snowflake. I'll say enter. That is going to run. Okay. Then after this, we are going to also install a snowflake connector. Let's give it a few more seconds. Okay, this should be ready anymore. Okay, very good. This is ready. Now let us install snowflake connector. Okay, that's going to run. Okay, that's done. Now let us also install this right here. Pip install snowflake-sqlalchemy. In my previous video, I showed you guys all this, okay? And that was this video I was talking about, okay? So I highly encourage you to also go watch this video. All right. Now that we have gotten that, another thing we would like to also install is provider for Amazon, because we are going to be using S3 right here, because we are going to be moving file or data from Amazon S3 bucket into Snowflake. So, and we want to use a sensor right here. We want to use S3 sensor because we want to sense. Remember what I showed you here? I said that we are going to be checking if a file, I told you we are going to be checking if the file is available in Amazon S3, right? So we are going to be using a sensor. And for us to do that, then we need to install Amazon provider. So that's how we do pip install apache-airflow-providers-snowflake. Okay, we are going to do that. We will install that. Okay, and as a matter of fact, if you come in right here, I'm going to share this link for you guys. You can see that here we are talking about S3 key sensor. Okay, this is where it's going to be helping to check for those files, if those files are present in the S3 bucket. Okay, so this is the provider that we are trying to install. Okay, and these are the parameters that you could pass inside the S3 key sensor. We are going to be doing that. Okay, so stay tuned. All right, so now we have installed that. Now that is that about that. Very good. We've been able to install the dependencies. Congratulations. Now the next thing we want to do right now is we want to connect our Visual Studio Code to our EC2. If you don't know how to do that yet, I highly encourage you to go watch the video where I showed that. As a matter of fact, this video right here, I'm going to put the link in the description, how to remotely SSH or connect to Visual Studio Code. Okay, I'm going to be showing you I showed you that in this video, so I highly encourage you to go do that. But for today, I will just connect right now. So I will do open folder and I will go to my SSH. I will open that, and this is what I have as what I'm going to be using to connect. I have my host name, that's the name of my EC2. Then I need to put the IP. So I will go back to my EC2 right here. I will check this and then I'll copy this public IP. I'll put it right here. I highly encourage you, if you don't understand how to connect this Visual Studio Code to how to connect your Visual Studio Code to your EC2, I highly encourage you to go watch that video. Okay, this is the video right here. Just go to my channel and search for this, how to remotely SSH or connect Visual Studio Code to AWS EC2. I will also give you the link in the description. Okay, all right, so now that I have that, then here I'm putting the path to my key pair, to my .pem file. Mine is in the downloads folder. So I will save this, and then I'll come right here. I will do connect to host, and this is the EC2 I want to connect to. I will click that. So I'll be able to connect to that right now. Okay. I will connect that. Okay, now you can see that now I'm connected right here. Okay, so now if I come to file and I say open folder, so now you can see that I'm in home Ubuntu. So I'll say okay. So now it's trying to load the files that I have in the files folder and all of that I have in Ubuntu, my Ubuntu machine. Now you can see all that right here. Okay, now what I want us to quickly do right here now is to let us go and initiate our airflow. So let us come right here. Remember, we are still in the we are still in this virtual environment. Okay, so let us do airflow standalone and then click enter, and then this is going to initialize. Okay, now while this is initializing, you can see that it's starting up right now, adding the permissions and all of that. Go back to your EC2 and copy this public IPv4 DNS. Copy this, open a new tab here, and just put that, paste it right there, and put colon and put 8080. Remember that we said that airflow is going to be running on port 8080. Okay, so press enter. Now you can see, boom, we have it right there. Okay, now I will say username admin. Now how do I know username is admin? Let me show you. If you come to this connect right here where we are running everything, if you come right here, if you come to this standalone right here that says airflow is ready, it says login with username admin. That is the username it gave us. Okay, and what is the password? This is the password it gave us. I will highlight and right click and copy. I hope you get that right now, guys. Then I'll come in here, admin, and then I'll do a Ctrl V or so, and then paste, then sign in. Very good, guys. You can see right here, guys. Now we are in our airflow. Okay, we are in our airflow UI. You can see that means airflow is running in our EC2. If you're able to get here successfully, then congratulations. If not, please take a look, watch the video some more, and also look at what error you are getting and try to debug those errors. You could also put your question in the comment section below so that I can help to answer, or even some other folks watching this video can even help to answer your questions or your queries. Okay, now one thing I want us to do right now is, you can see we have example DAGs right here. All these are example DAGs that came along with our installation. Okay, but we can disable that by, let us come right here to our Visual Studio Code. You can see that when we instantiated the airflow, when we initiated the airflow, you can see when we started it that an airflow folder was then created here. You can see automatically when we ran the airflow standalone. So we have this right here now. If you open this, you can see we have a configuration file right here, airflow.cfg. Click that. Now what you need to then do is that we then need to go to load examples. You see this load examples right here. So we want to put it to be false. We want to put it to be false because we don't want to be seeing those examples. We only want to have our own DAG right there. Okay, so now save this. While we are doing this, one thing I also like us to do right here, since we are here, is to create a folder inside this airflow. Inside this airflow folder, right click this airflow folder and then do new folder and then put DAGs. Create that folder DAGs. Now what are we trying to do right here? What I'm trying to do right here is that if you look at this configuration, it says the folder where your airflow pipelines live. So that means that our pipeline, we want it to live inside this directory, airflow/DAGs. And that's why I have airflow and then I created DAGs inside here, right? I created this folder. So that means the file we are going to be using is going to be inside here. Okay, we are going to create the file later. Okay, but for right now, since we have saved, let us go back to our UI and let us refresh. Let's see what happens. Okay, it hasn't propagated through. Okay, let us wait. Sometimes it takes between 2 to 5 minutes. Let us refresh again. It hasn't propagated through. Okay, I'll pause the video and come back in about 2 minutes or so. Oh, if you refresh, you can see that we are still seeing these examples. Yes, the reason is because we need to kill this server. We kill this server first and then we restart, so that the changes that we made, right, can reflect or can pass through. Okay, so I will do a Ctrl+C, shutting down all these components of the airflow. You can see now it's shut down, so I can do airflow standalone again and then enter. It's going to start all over again, and then we can go to the UI and we should be able to see the change that we made to reflect. Remember that we had changed the load examples from true to false. So I'll come right here now and I'll refresh. Very good. You can see that we don't have anything right now because we put that load examples to be false, right? That means no DAG is showing right now. Very, very good, guys. I hope you are getting this, guys. All right, guys. Now, the next thing I want us to do right now is let us create an S3 bucket, and then let us then start creating that. Let us create our DAG and then start creating the task in our DAG. Okay, so let us come here and say S3. This is your S3 right here. I'll open in a new tab. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to create a bucket. I will say create bucket. Okay, and remember that your bucket name should be unique across all of AWS S3 bucket. Okay, so this is the name I'm giving it, airflow-snow-email-bucket. Then you select the region that you want. In my case, I want US West 2 region. Okay, now I will just leave everything the way they are, and then I will just come here and I will say create bucket. Okay, now you can see I have this bucket right now, right here. Okay, now that we have this bucket, I'll click this bucket to open it. Now the next thing is I want to create a folder in this bucket. I will do create folder, and I'll call this folder, I will call it city folder. Okay, city folder, and then I will say create folder. You can see that I have created the folder. Let me open it. You can see right now I do not have anything inside this folder. If you remember what we are trying to do, we are trying to say that if we want to create a sensor that would trigger the next task if we have a file inside that S3 bucket folder. If we don't have it, then the next task is not going to run. Okay, so we want to have a sensor. Okay, now the next thing we are going to do right now is that let us go to our Visual Studio Code and now start developing our DAG. Okay, now the first thing you want to do right here when you want to create your DAG is that, now remember that we said that we have our DAG should be running inside this DAGs folder. Remember what we had said in our config. We said home Ubuntu airflow DAGs. This is where our dag.py file is going to be running. Okay, so now I'll come to these DAGs. I'll right click and I'll do new file. Okay, and I'll give my file a name. I'll say airflow_s3_email.py. airflow_snowflake_s3_email.py. I'll do that. Now you can see what we have right now. Everything is plain right here. We don't have anything right now. That's going to be our DAG folder, our DAG file, right? That's where we're going to be creating all our tasks. So the first thing we want to do right here is that you want to import the DAG from airflow import DAG. Okay, then we're going to be using time right here, date time and time delta. So we will put that. Okay, and I've showed you guys this in my previous video. So if you have been watching my previous video, this should be pretty understandable for you guys. Okay, and what we also like to do is we like to create default args, right? Default argument. So that means that owner, I make it airflow, depends on past, I will say false. That means don't depends on past. My start date, I can put this date right here. Okay, and then I can say email. This is the email. That means that if we say, if this fails, if we put this to be true, if we say this to be true, then we can say email, send email notification to this email if there is a failure, right? Or also on retry, if we put this to be true, it's going to send email. Okay, retries, we can say, okay, retry 2 times. Okay, we can say retry 2 times. Then we can say for every retry, when you retry first, before you try second time, wait 2 minutes. Okay, that is what that means. Okay, now the next thing we want to do right now is let us then start instantiating our DAG. Okay, what I then do right here is I say with DAG, so I give it a DAG ID. So this is the DAG ID, snowflake_s3 with email notification _etl. Okay, and then this default DAGs is another parameter, so we need to pass in this default args that we have right here. You put it right there. Then schedule interval, so I want to schedule it daily at midnight, 12 midnight. Okay, catch up, then I'll say false. Right now, the first thing we want to do right here now is we want to create our first task. Okay, let me save this first. Now let me take you guys to this. I will share this link also in the description. If you take a look at Airflow Providers Amazon AWS Sensors.s3, so there is a sensor right here that can help us to sense our S3. So because let's assume that you have a pipeline that you are getting data from different sources, maybe from APIs, from different databases, and you want to drop them inside an S3 bucket, right? But you always want to make sure But let's say you want to make sure that you check if the file is dropped in S3 before the next task is triggered. Okay, so we can have what we call sensor. So in this case, we call it S3 key sensor. This is going to help us to sense if that file is there or not. And this is the class. You can see we have bucket name, bucket key, bucket name, wildcard match. Then you're going to have a connection ID. Okay, so now you can take a look at this link and go over it very well. But essentially, this is what we are going to be doing. This is how we are going to be building that task right here, which I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so I will call that task. I'll give it a variable name here. I call it is file in S3 available. Okay, and then I give the task ID this, so I put this TSK, which means task. So this is the task, this is the variable name right here. Okay, and then you put this operator right here, S3 key sensor. Okay, that's the operator. Now how do we import that? So we import that this way from airflow.providers.amazon.aws.sensors.s3 import S3 key sensor. Okay, now one thing that you need to know is that if you come to this documentation, if I click this documentation, you can see we have provider packages and Amazon is part of them. So Amazon services, if you click this, that's where you have those different providers in Amazon. And if you remember, we did a pip install for Amazon provider. Okay, and that is what is giving us access to the S3 key sensor that we want to be using. Okay, so now what are the parameters we need to pass right here? The task ID is here. Then we need to pass in bucket key, bucket name. Okay, now what is our bucket key? What is our bucket name? Okay, I will put that right here for you. I'll put that right here for you. So we are going to define the S3 bucket and the file details. Okay, so what are we trying to do right here? So S3 prefix. So I say S3 :/airflow. This is the way you're going to write it. This is our bucket name. If I take you back to my bucket name, if you remember, this is the bucket name, airflow snow email bucket. You can see that airflow snow email bucket. Then this is the folder we are talking about right here. You see, this is the folder, but we don't have anything right now. But what we want to put right here is this CSV file, although we don't have it right now. Okay, let's keep it that way for now. Okay, now one thing I would like to show you right here is this. Let me come back right here. There is something. Yeah, I think it was here. I'm sorry. Okay, it says this bucket key. You see, it says this bucket key support full S3 style URL, and that was why this bucket key, which is the S3 prefix, this one, that is why I use the complete URL of that file. Okay, now it says that for bucket name, it says name of the S3 bucket only needed when bucket key is not provided as full S3 ://URL. So that means that if you don't provide this bucket key as this complete file on S3 style URL, then that is when you're going to put the name of the bucket. Okay, but other than that, you can just put it as none, right? And that is why I put right here S3 bucket is none. Okay, S3 prefix, I just give it that variable name. Okay, you can give it any variable name you want. Then I use the S3 standard, or S3 style URL. So what I then did was bucket key then equals to this full path. Okay, I call it S3 prefix. You can give it a different name if you want. Okay, then this S3 bucket, which is this bucket name, I give it to be none. You can see what we just looked at in that documentation. Okay, and then we need to have an AWS connection ID. Okay, so I will give it this name, AWS S3 connection, because this connection we have to go to the admin panel on the Airflow UI to set up that connection. Okay, we are going to do that shortly. Now this wildcard match, I put it to be false. It says set this to true if you want to use wildcards in the prefix. We are not using wildcards there. Then timeout. This also you can have it right there if you want it to time out after a particular number of seconds or minutes, right? So that's optional, but I'm not using it right here, but you could uncomment it if you want. Okay, and then poke interval. So what does that mean? That means that after every 3 seconds, because I put 3 seconds here, right? After every 3 seconds, I want it to be poking or checking that S3 bucket for this file that we want to check. Okay, so if I make it 10 seconds, that means every 10 seconds check that S3 bucket for this file. Okay, I hope you guys are getting this right now. Okay, now I will save this. Okay, we'll save this and we'll go to our Airflow UI. I will refresh and see if we get something in our DAG. Let us refresh. Very good. You can see now we have our DAG. We have our .py file right here, which is our DAG. Okay, so if we click this, let's see what we get. Let's go to the graph view. You can see, very good, guys. You can see we have our task is file in S3 available. Very good. However, take note of one thing, guys, that we have not configured our S3. right? You have not configured it right here, so we need to configure it by using our access key and secret key, so that Airflow can have access to our S3 bucket. Okay, now let us do that right now, guys. So for you to do that, what you then do is go to your AWS account and then come to your profile right here. Okay, click security credentials. Okay, click security credentials. So what you can do is, in my own case, I can deactivate this. Let me deactivate this, and let me delete this one right here. Let me delete this right here. Let me delete this right here. Okay, because you can only have a maximum of 2 access keys, active or inactive, you can see, at a time. So that means I cannot have more than 2. Okay, so now what I need to do right now is to create secret and access key and secret key. So I'll do create access key. Click this. When you click this, then all you have to do is check this and then do create access key. So now I've created the access key. Make sure you copy this and put it somewhere. Okay, don't lose it, because if you lose it, what that means is that you will have to request the access key again. Then copy this also. So for me now, I'm copying it inside my notepad in the other screen. Okay, if you also want, you can download it right here. Okay, you can also download it as CSV so you don't lose it. Okay, now very good, guys. So now what you will then do is that you will come to admin right here on your UI, come to connections. I click connections, then click this plus, because we want to create a connection ID that will help Airflow to be able to interact with our Amazon S3 bucket. So what is the connection ID name we want to give it? Come back right here to your .py file. This is the name we want to give it, AWS S3 con. So I'll come right here, I'll do AWS 3 con. Then I'll come here, connection type, I will choose Amazon Web Services. Then you can put a description, just put a description of what you think you are doing. And then it's highly, it's good to always put that so that people know what you are trying to do here. Okay, but in this case, I will not do that. So I will say AWS access key. So I will copy my access key. Remember the access key that we just generated? I'll put mine right there. Okay, don't worry about the access key I'm putting right here. I'm going to deactivate it after I finish making this video and delete it. Okay, so now I copy and paste that also right there. What you can do is you can test it first. If you look at the top of my screen right here, there is nothing right here that tells us that if this is working fine or not. So let me click test. If you do test, you can see, so it's green. That tells you that it was able to connect. Okay, now I can then save. Very good. Now that I have saved this, what that means is that, let me go back to my DAGs. So what that means is that this my .py file, which is my DAG now, and basically this task would be able to access my Amazon S3 bucket to be able to run if we trigger this right now. Okay, now let us take a look at that and let us see if we can get something out of this. Okay, now come right here, just turn on this DAG. If I turn it on, okay, you can see that. Then I'll come right here and I'll say trigger DAG. Let's see what happens. Trigger DAG. Now this is going to be in queue and it's going to attempt to run. So you see it should start any moment from now. If I click this and go to logs, so now if you look at what is happening, the scheduler does not appear to be running. Okay, let us see what's going on. So what I can do right here, even for now, is I can shut down this component and then restart again. Okay, I just want to show you guys some things before I put that file right there. Okay, so let us shut this, Control C. Now it's shutting down. Okay, shutdown is complete. If I refresh this, you can see we have nothing. Okay, now let us do airflow standalone back again. Okay, now everything is initiating right now, starting up. Okay, our admin password, our username password is still the same. So now you can see, now this shows that this is running. You see, I think before what happened was that it was frozen because, you know, the scheduler and the web server, they were not communicating. Something was going on right there. So if I click this, you can see that this is still in running state. It's not done. Remember that if it is successful, then you should have this green type of color right here. You see that if it is running, this is the type of color that you see, and then this is running. For those of you that have not watched my previous videos on Airflow, I really encourage you to go watch that so that you can really get those fundamentals correct. Okay, you can have a strong footing. If I click on this, you see that it keeps running. What is going on? What is going on? If I click on logs, let us see what is going on. You can see what is going on right here, guys. Poking, it says poking for key. You see, poking for key. You can see what is going on right here. It keeps poking every 3 seconds. Remember, we set it for 3 seconds. You can see that this is 31, 34, 37, 40, 43, 46, 49, 52, 55, 55. You can see every second is poking for the file, right? Every 3 seconds is poking. It's trying to look for it, but it cannot find it, right? It cannot find the file. Remember that we did not put timeout. We did not put timeout in this one. If we put timeout, let's say we put timeout for 60 seconds, then after 60 seconds it's going to stop poking, right? But I commented this out now. Okay, so now what do you think we can do? Now let's assume that you are waiting for a file, right, in your S3 bucket. That is exactly what is going to be happening until the file then goes in. Now let us assume now our file wants to go in right now. We have the city folder. Now I have the file in another folder on my other screen. I am going to drag it right there and let us see what happens. Remember, you see, we are still poking, right? But now let us drag the folder. If I drag this folder and drop it right here, you can see this is the us_city_csv, and then I do upload. Now it has uploaded. Let's see what happens. Let's go back here. You can see immediately we uploaded, it says success criteria met. Why? Because it has found it. It poked it for 174404. That's this time right here. That was the last one, and then it found the file and then it exited. Okay, so that means that if we come back to this graph, let's see what happened. You can see this is success. You can see the success color, right? The border color for success. You can see now, you can see how you can sense your S3 bucket if there is a file that you need there or not. I hope you guys understand that right now. And what would we use to do that? We use the S3 key sensor. All right, guys, very good, guys. Now we have been able to create one task. Okay, now before we leave this, let me just show you what the CSV file looks like. I'm going to open it right here and bring it here. It's just some 3 lines of data, in which case you have this as your header, okay, and then you have this as the records. Okay, you can say city, state, census 2020, land area, square mile 2020. That is what we have. Very good. Okay, I will minimize that. Now the next thing we want to do right now is that we need to now create the create table task on Snowflake. Okay, now on Snowflake, because we want to move this file that we have in our database now, this file, right? We want to load it onto our Snowflake database. Now before we can load it, we have to create the table. Right now you can see the columns we have: city, state, census. These are going to be numbers, right? Land area, square mile, these are going to be numbers. Okay, you can see we have that right now. So let us create that task. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste that right here. Okay, so let us have that. You can see we have create table Snowflake. In this case, our task ID. So we have this as our variable name. We have this operator. Now, but this operator, we need to import it. How do we import it? Remember that we have installed all the packages for Snowflake earlier, right? As our when we were installing those dependencies, right? Now we have imported Snowflake operator. So you have it right here. Then you have the variable name, the task ID. I gave it to be create Snowflake table. Okay, and then we will also need a connection ID, because we need to be able to connect our Airflow to our Snowflake, right? Just like we did for the AWS, right? When we were using that sensor. Okay, so now in this case we have this connection ID. I call it con ID Snowflake. And then what is the SQL scripts or SQL commands we want to run? Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to drop the table if it exists, and this is the table. And the reason I want to do this is because as I'm teaching you guys, I might want to run these several times. Okay, so I don't want us to be having any errors or maybe duplicate data and all of that. So that's why I just want to drop this, but do whatever one that you want based on everything depends on the requirements of the project you are working on. Okay, so drop table if exists. I'm dropping this table, and then I'm creating the table if not exists. Okay, city info, that's the table. Then what are the columns? City, I make it a text. You could make yours a varchar, that's fine. And then not null constraint. State text, not null constraint. Census, because these are numbers, I make it numeric. I say not null. Okay, land area, square miles, I make it numeric, and then not null. Remember, these are basic project. Okay, so now that we have that, I would save this. Okay, because we want to create the table. Okay, now we need to also add the dependencies for this one, which one is going to run before which one. But before we do that, let us go to our Airflow UI. Okay, let us refresh this. Now you can see we have, this is the second task we have. You can see right now they are not connected, but now let us add the dependency. Which one should run before which one? Okay, so I would put that right here. Just make sure you check out all, make sure you are in the right indents, right? So we have this is file in S3 available. This is it. And then so this is going to run before this create table variable. So we have that right here, and then you put these two greater than signs. Okay, so I can save it, give it few seconds, and then that should populate through the or propagate to the UI. So let us go back and refresh. Very good, guys. You can see that, guys, that now that means that this guy is going to run for this guy is going to check that is that file available in S3. If it is available, then we are going to create the Snowflake table. Okay, now for us to now create the Snowflake table, we need to go to our Snowflake UI, and then we need to create database, warehouse, and schema. Okay, we need to do some some things before we are able to eventually run this, okay? Because all those things, all the database warehouse and all the necessary things we are going to create, we are going to be using them to create a connection. If I click this for you guys, you'll see what I'm talking about now. If I click this connection, and let's say I want to create a connection type for Snowflake. You can see for Snowflake, it's asking me for schema, my login details, that's my username. You can see my login, that's my username, my password, and then the account, the Snowflake account, the Snowflake warehouse that I'm using, the database, the region, the role. You see all these different things we need to provide, okay, in our UI, admin UI page, okay? So now what we need to do now, like I said, is that let's go back to our Snowflake. If you have not created that account, go and create your Snowflake account, create a free trial. You can see right now I have 16 days left in my trial version, okay? So while on this page, come right here to this plus and click this plus and then do SQL worksheets. Very good. Now you can see that we have some database that I've used previously right here, but this is not what we are going to be using. We're going to create our own new database, data warehouse, and schema, okay? Now the first thing I'm going to do right here is this. I'm going to run these different commands, okay? So I'm going to paste them here just so we can run them one after the other. Okay. All right. Okay, now if you take a look at what we are doing right here, so we actually want to create this database, city database, right? But before that, I want to say drop database if it exists. I want to drop it first. Let's assume it exists, right? So I will just say, okay, I want to drop it, okay? So now I will say drop database if exists, city database. I will highlight that and run that. You see that it said executed successfully, already dropped. Then I will go to the next one, which is I want to now create the database, city database. Take note of this, what you have here. You can see that here you have city underscore database underscore YML. Take note, YML. But this one doesn't have YML, okay? So let us run that. Okay, that runs successfully. You can see that when I ran it, now this changed to city underscore database. There is no underscore YML there. You see that right now, guys. Now I want to create warehouse, okay? You can see that the warehouse that I have right here is city underscore warehouse underscore YML, right? But the one I want to create now does not have YML, right? I'm trying to show you guys this so that you can understand what I'm doing right now, okay? The one that has YML was the one I used when I was preparing for this video, okay? So, but let's use a fresh one so that we all understand what's going on, okay? So now if I execute this, very good, you can see that the warehouse has changed, city warehouse, that's what we are using now. And then let us create schema. Let us create schema. If you look at this, what schema do we have? Public. If you come right here, you can see the only schema you have right here is what? Is public. Okay. So now let us run. You see that this public is going to change. So I call it new city schema. So I will execute. Very good. You see that it changed to new city schema, and then this also tells us that it has been done successfully. Very good, guys. Now we are building something right here. Now we've started having those information that we need to be able to create that connection to our airflow. Okay, very good, guys. Now let us go ahead and create our connection. Let us come back to our airflow right here. We want to create connection. Okay, I'll come right and I'll say connections. Okay, if you come right here, you click this, or just come right here, say connections. Okay, and then click that plus sign. And what did we call the name of our connection ID? If you remember what we call our Snowflake connection ID, we said con underscore ID underscore Snowflake, right? So we will come right there. I've copied it, then we will paste it right there. Very good. And then you will come to connection type, then you will choose Snowflake. Okay, when we choose Snowflake, and then the next thing is you can put a description. Then what is the schema of our Snowflake? Because this would help Airflow to know where it needs to load the data. What database, what warehouse, what schema, and what table do I need to load the data? Okay, now what is our schema? I'm going to copy and paste it right here. Remember that what we called it was new underscore city underscore schema, remember? And then login. When you created your Snowflake account, remember I told you that you are going to be asked to enter a username and to create a username and a password. So that is going to be your login. So this is my own login, okay? And then you are going to put your password, the password that you use to log into Snowflake. I put that right there, okay? And then what is your account name? How do I get the account name? Okay, now go to your Airflow, to your Snowflake account. Okay, just come right here and then just click worksheet here. Okay, and then come to this account right here. If you click this and then just put your mouse here, okay, come over here and then this copy account URL, just copy that, okay, and then when you copy that, paste it right here. Okay, this is what we need as your account name right there, or whatever the account that is requesting you to enter. So I will delete every other thing so that I can only have this. Okay, very good. Also, we talked about warehouse. What is our warehouse name? Okay, the city warehouse name. Then what about our database name? I called it city database. What is the region? Remember that for me, I've been using US West region, right? And also when you created your Snowflake account, remember you selected a particular region, right? So what region is that? Put that region here, okay? Now, what about your role? In this case, the role I'm using is account admin role, okay? So I will put that role right here, okay? I'll put that role right here, okay? Very good, guys. Let us verify if our connection is right or not. So I will say add connection. So I'll come right here and I'll say test. If I do test, you can see it says connection successfully tested. That means it's working fine. So I will save that. So now my Airflow can have access to my Snowflake. However, for us to be able, I'll just do back right there to come back to our to this screen. Okay, let us select our database back again. The database was city database, right? And then our schema was this. Okay, let us select it back. And then our warehouse was city warehouse. Very good. Okay, now one thing I would like you to know is this, that in Snowflake, for you to be able to connect, to move data from your S3 bucket into Snowflake, you have to create a stage. And what does that mean? That means that we want to integrate our Snowflake into the Amazon S3 bucket, which means that the file or the data that we have in that particular S3 bucket, we want to integrate it, or we want to sync it into our Snowflake. And for us to do that, we use staging. Okay? So in this case, you have to create stage. So what I will do right here is I will do like dash. I will say staging or create staging. Okay, I'll say create staging. Okay, then I'll put these lines of code right here. Okay, now what we are trying to say again is this: we want to move data from our Amazon S3 bucket This is the URL to the Amazon S3 bucket, okay? We want to create a stage where our data from the S3 bucket is going to be syncing to. So that means that for me to load the data from S3 into my Snowflake, right? I need to sort of integrate that S3 inside Snowflake. So what that means is that my Snowflake should be pointing to these S3 bucket, and we call it staging. It could be external staging or internal staging, okay? So but in this case, we are creating a stage. As you can see right here, what I did, that I say, so what you are going to be doing is you want to create staging, okay, that would point to this S3 bucket. I hope you get that right now, guys. These commands help you to create staging that points to this Amazon S3 bucket where we have our data. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to write these commands: create or replace stage, city database, and remember that our database, we don't have YML. Okay, then dot schema. Our schema, this is our schema, new underscore city underscore schema, right? Now in this case, I want to give it a name: snowflake underscore ext underscore stage underscore YML. This is the name that I want to give my my stage. Okay, this stage is what is going to be pointing to this URL in my S3 bucket for me to be able to load the data that is inside this S3 bucket into a Snowflake table. I hope you get that right now, guys. You want to load data from S3 bucket into Snowflake table. Before you do that, you need to create a stage that points to this S3 bucket. I hope you get that right now, guys. However, this stage that you are creating needs to be inside a particular schema. So we are creating it inside this schema and also inside this database, and that's why you see this right here like this, okay? And then you need to give it the necessary credentials. Remember that previously we had created secret access key and secret key on AWS. So you will go and copy those access keys. So like in my case, access key is going to go into this AWS key ID. I will paste it right there, okay? Then my secret key, I will copy it. Remember that you had saved it also somewhere before, right? So just copy it and then just paste it right here. I hope you guys are getting this right now. Okay, now what I will do is I would highlight this and just run it. So what we are doing right here is we are creating a stage that points to this bucket. So that means when we run it and we check this and we check this stage, we should be able to see the data that is inside this S3 bucket. Okay, now let us run, guys. I would run. You see, it says stage area. This staging area has been successfully created. Okay, now I've created that staging area. Okay, now what is the next thing? What about if you want to check if the data? What about if you now want to check the data that is present in S3 bucket? You want to check now. You want to check your staging to see if your staging area now can see the data inside this S3 bucket. So what we are going to do is we can run this command right here. We can run this command right here. We can say list at city underscore database. Then this is our schema, new city schema, right? And this is our staging. So if I run this should be able to give us information about the data that we have in this S3 bucket. Okay, so let us run that. You see, very good. You can see when we run it, it says name. Now it's telling us that this is the S3 bucket. You can see the data that we have right here, us underscore city.csv. is giving us the size and is telling us the last time it was modified. Now, can you now see that we have been able to create a staging area where this data is, because it is pointing to this S3 bucket. So that means from this staging area, we can then load into our Snowflake table. I hope you guys understand that right now. Very good, guys. Very good, guys. Very good. So now we are not running anything yet, okay? But then let us add another task. Okay, let us add another task. Okay, I turn that off so it doesn't run. Okay, so now let us add another task, and that task is going to be copy CSV into Snowflake table. You remember now, here we have our sensor. It senses if the file is inside the S3. Now we are creating our table, and then the next thing is that we want to copy that file that we have in the X3. Now we want to copy it inside our Snowflake table. Okay, remember that we sensed it right here is in X3, and then we create the table. Okay, and when you create the table, then you want to move that file or that data inside that table. But before you can do that, you have to create a staging area that points to the S3 bucket, which we have also done. Okay, now the next thing is for us to then do the actual copying now into our Snowflake. So I call this variable, I give it copy CSV into Snowflake table. Okay, we use our Snowflake operator. We give it a task ID. This is the task ID I'm giving it. Okay, now the connection ID. Remember that we are using the same database, the same data warehouse, the same schema. Okay, so because of that, we are still using the same connection ID as what we have here. And remember that we have configured that connection ID already on our admin, on Airflow admin, right? Now, what is the SQL command we want to run? We want to run copy into, okay, city database. Let us remove this. That's the database name. And then this is the schema, new city schema, right? Dot table, this table, remember that this is the table we are creating. We are creating this table first right here. Okay, we are creating this table. Right here, city underscore info. So that means that we want to copy into this table. Okay, and this table is inside this database, inside this schema. Okay, where do we want to copy it from? We want to copy it from at city database. I remove this YML, then I put new underscore city, because this is the database we want to get the data from, this schema, and then this staging table. Remember what we said, guys, that the data that we want to put in the Snowflake is actually from Amazon S3 bucket, right? But we cannot take it from Amazon S3 bucket directly. We need to have a staging area which points to the Amazon S3 bucket, and that is what this staging area is doing right here. You can see that. Then you need to put a file format. Okay, you need to put a file format, and in this case, the file format that we are putting is called CSV underscore format. Let me explain what this means right here. We are the one that is going to define this format, and this is because in Airflow, in Snowflake, whenever you are using this copy into, okay, you need to use semi-structured data file format like JSON, Avro, or stuff like that. Okay, it doesn't take CSV directly. Okay, if you really need to use CSV data, you need to define a corresponding CSV file format. Okay, you need to describe, or you need to define a CSV file format in Snowflake before running this command. Okay, so that means we need to go and create a specific file format, and we are going to tell Snowflake that that file format is CSV. We are going to be giving it a name. Let me explain what I mean right here, guys. When let's copy this. let's copy this. Okay, do I have, okay, let's copy this, and then let's create that, let's put that inside this snowflake worksheet. Now what we are trying to do here, let me explain again. What we are trying to do here is this. By default, right, we cannot put file format here to be say CSV, right? Because this copy into command in Snowflake will not work. Okay, so we have to first of all define a CSV file format in Snowflake. How do we define it, or how do we create it? Okay, you have to come here and say create or replace file format. Give it a name. So now we are saying that this name, okay, the type of it is type CSV. Okay, so now we are saying that I want to create a file format, because I know Snowflake will not accept the CSV directly, but I want to say, okay, create a file format. The file format is CSV, but I call it CSV underscore format. You could give it any name that you want. Okay, you can give it any name, but I'm giving it CSV underscore format. And then here you specify what is the format. You say type equals CSV. Then what is the delimiter of the field? I will say it is comma. As you can see right here, it's comma, right? Then record delimiter. That means that for each row, what separates each record? That means I'm saying that each record should be on its own row. That means row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, right? And that's why we put /n. That means next line. Okay. Then skip header. I want you to skip header. True is 1, right? False is 0. So because I want you to skip header, I will put 1, because this accepts integer. Okay, I hope you guys understand that right now. That is how that works for file format. So that means that if I highlight this and then I execute this, that means that the name of my file format will be CSV underscore format. So let me highlight this and execute. Very good, it has executed successfully. And remember that all these things I'm doing them under this database schema, this series database, new series schema, and this warehouse. Take note of that, guys. Now this is created. What is the name of the format of the file format? CSV underscore format. That's the name I gave it, even though we know it's type CSV. So now I'll come to this place and I'll say file format equals CSV underscore format. I'll copy this and then I'll bring it here. You see that file format equals to CSV underscore format. Okay, now let us bring this variable right here. Also, let us put our dependencies. I put that right there, then I'll save. Okay, very good, guys. I hope you guys are getting this right now. Now let us go to our UI. Let's see if it is updated. Let us refresh. Very good, guys. This has refreshed. Can you see that, guys? Very good. Now let us just run this and let's see what we get. Let's make sure that everything is working correctly. So I'll come right here and I'll say trigger DAG. If I trigger DAG, let's see. You see this is running right now. We have the file. Since we have the file, it tells us that it's done. Then now we have created the table. Now you can see we have loaded data inside the Snowflake. Very good, guys. I hope you guys get this right now. If you are able to get this, congratulations, guys. Congratulations. This is amazing. You can see now how we are able to use sensor to check out if a particular file is inside an S3 bucket. You have seen how we can create table in Snowflake, and you have also seen how we can move data from the S3 bucket inside our Snowflake table. However, before we did that, we needed to create a staging area in our Snowflake. Now you have seen how to do that, guys. That is pretty easy. Now let us check if our data is indeed in the Snowflake table. Okay, let us go back to our Snowflake and let us run a select star command. Select star from, okay, from the name of our table is city info, right? Remember the name of our table, if you come right here, we call it city info, right? So let us execute this right here. Execute. Very good, guys. You can see now we have that data. Remember, this is the Excel sheet that we add, right? You can see we add this, and now we have been able to upload that, load that into our Snowflake table. Very good, guys. That is interesting, and we have been able to use Airflow to do that. Very good. Now the next thing I would like to do is, if you come back to our project, you can see that we want a situation whereby after we load the table, we want it to trigger an email, let's say to a particular to a particular user or to particular groups of users, right? Because these are the things that is going to be happening very well in industry. Okay, when you're actually in production setting, you want to be sending emails to folks. Let's say this pipeline is running, say, every 8 a.m., right? And instead of users to come to this pipeline to check if it has really run, you want to say send email to everybody in the team that today's pipeline has run and it ran successfully, or maybe today's pipeline ran and it fails. You know, all these different kind of things. These are the things you're going to be building when you get to actual production or when you get to the industry. Okay, but this is a very fundamental knowledge for you to grab right now before you get into the industry. Okay, now let us build this last task. Okay, we are almost there, guys. Let us build this last task. So now what do we need to do? Let me quickly show you something right here. If you go to Airflow and you search for email operators, you should be able to see this link. But I will provide this link for you in the description below. You can see that for email operator, these are the parameters you need to pass. To, right? You see, to what is the list of emails you want to send it to? What is the subject? Email HTML content, that is the content of your email. You can see, say HTML markup is allowed. That means you can use your different tags in HTML, or you can just use a text. Okay. Do you want to attach a file? If you want to attach a file, then you can also put that right here. Okay, file names to attach. If you want to CC or you want to blind copy folks, and different stuff like that, go ahead to go through this documentation so that you can get a very good understanding of what we are talking about right here. All right, guys. Now the next thing we want to do is, for us to be able to create this task, we really need to first of all do a configuration. We need to configure our email. Okay, we need to configure our email, and that is what we are going to be doing right now. So what you first of all need to do is that for us to configure the email notification, in my own case, I'm going to be using Gmail. So in your own case, you can use any other thing. You can maybe search online and see how you need to set up the configurations. But in this case, I'm going to be using Gmail. But I think it's going to be pretty much almost the same thing, if depending on what email provider that you are using. But in the case of this, I'm using Gmail. Okay, so I will go to this link. I will paste it right in, and I'm also going to give you in the description below. Okay, if you go to this link right here, security.google.com/settings, if you click enter, okay, it's going to ask you for your password. Enter your password and then say next. And now it brings you to this app, because right here what you want to do is you want to get the password for this app. You see, app passwords let you sign into your Google account from apps on devices that don't support two-step verification. So here I will say select app. What app do I want? Right here, I want mail. Okay, because I want to send email, right? So I'll say mail. What's the device? In my own case, I have a Windows computer. Okay, if your case is iPhone, iPad, or Mac, select that. Mine is Windows computer. So I will do this. And then I will generate this password is what we are going to be using shortly. Okay, so when you generate that, just copy it, otherwise you will lose it. I'll say generate. Very good. You can see right here, guys, your app password for Windows computer is this. Each time you click generate, it gives you a different password. So I will highlight that, and then I will copy it and just put it somewhere in my notepad. Okay, I have done that. Then you click done. Okay, I hope you guys are getting this right now. After this video, I'm going to delete that right here. Okay, now that we have done that, then the next thing we are going to do is we are going to go to our configurations, our CFG file. Remember our .cfg file, configuration file on Airflow. We are going to go make some updates to that, because remember, these are configuration file. A lot of updates needs to be here. So we are going to go and update some setting in our SMTP. Okay, so what you can do right here is do a Control F and type in SMTP. Okay, you can see right here we have one right here, email backend. You can just say next. Now you can see now we are right here, SMTP. It says if you want Airflow to send emails on retries, failure, and you want to use the Airflow utils email, send email, you have to configure an SMTP server here. So now let us configure this. Now, because I am using Gmail, okay, I will come right here. My host is then going to be smtp.gmail.com. If you are using a different provider, you can go ahead and browse online and see what the SMTP host should be for your own email provider. Okay, so and then I will do SMTP user. I would uncomment SMTP user, and then I'll type in my email address. So in your own case, you should also type your email address because you are the user. In this case, I'm the user. Okay, and then the next thing is I will uncomment SMTP password. Then you put the password. What password are we talking about right here? The password we are talking about is the one you just got from this app password. Remember, we just did this app password. So that password is what you are going to put right here, SMTP password. Okay, so you put your SMTP user because you are the user, so put your email address, right? And then the password, right? Because this is, like I said, this is the user. Remember, you were the one that created this, right? That created this right here. And then you have the password that was given to you. Then where is the mail coming from? Which email is it coming from? Is coming from my email. It's coming from my. So where is it? So where is this SMTP mail coming from? It's coming from my email, right? Since it is coming from my email, I will put my email right there. Okay, so I say SMTP mail from, I'll put it right there. Then timeout, I can leave SMTP timer, I can leave it as 30 seconds. Retry limit, I can leave it as 5. Okay, that doesn't matter. Okay, now we have been able to configure this. Since we have configured this, save it, and then we'll need to shut down the Airflow and restart. Okay, but before we do that, I will say let us just create the task here, and then we can restart the Airflow. We can shut down the Airflow and restart. Okay, now let us create the task. That's pretty easy. The first thing we are going to do is for us to import the necessary email operator. You can see airflow.operators.email, import email operator. Okay, and then let us create our task. Let us create our task right here. So I will create my task. Remember, take note of your indentation. Notification by email, email operator, put your task ID, So in this case, I am saying, where do I want to send email to? I want to send the email to this right here, to this email address, topolespectra@gmail.com. Okay, that's where I want to save it. That's where I want to send the email rather. What is the subject? I want to put the subject to be Snowflake ETL pipeline. Then what is the HTML content? I want to just say this is just a test. Like as you saw right here, it tells you you could use HTML markup. So you could use HTML markup if that is what you want to do. You can just use H1, H2, H3, all those tags. Okay. Now let us put this as the dependency right here. Let us put that right here. Okay. Let us save. I hope you guys are getting this right here. I hope everything is making sense to you. Okay. Now that I have this, let's save. And then let me go back to this connect, because we made some changes to the config file. You need to restart your Airflow. So I will do a Ctrl+C to shut it down. So shut that down. You see now it has shut down. Now you need to call it back again, because that is when the update we made in the configuration can, propagate through. So I will do Airflow standalone. I will enter. Okay. I think so that is initiating. Very good. You can see now it has initiated. It's still the same username and password. Take note of that. So you can just come here and just do a refresh. I think we should be good. Okay. Now that we have that, you can see we have this right here. And it seems that we have every necessary thing that we need. We have everything. This is working. We know this is working. We know now we can copy data into Snowflake table. Now, if we are able to copy the data into Snowflake table, after that we want to get notification. We want to get notified that this has run. Okay. Now, what we can do first of all is this. Let me open up that email. Let me open up that email first. Okay, let me open up that email. So as you can see that in this email, this is the topolespectra@gmail.com. You can see that in this email, we only have 4 emails right here. Okay, we don't have anything from Airflow because we are expecting to see this HTML content. This is just a test, and also the subject should be Snowflake ETL pipeline. You can see we don't have that right here. Okay, so now let us go to our Airflow and let us try to run this. Let's see what happens, guys. Trigger DAG is going to run again. Let's see. Okay, now that started running. It's checking. Now the file is there, so it says yes. Go to the next thing. We've created table. Let us move the data into the table. Now we have moved it. Now if we move this queue, this is running. It wants to send email. Let's see if it runs successfully. If not, we can debug. Okay, it's currently running. It's currently running. Okay, it's taking some time. Let's see what happens. Okay, it says there is an error. Let's see what if you see this border yellow, it means it's up for retry. So something is going on that we have not done. Let's see. It says network is unreachable. Marking task up for retry. Okay, task ID, network is unreachable. Okay, as you can see, it says network is unreachable. So I think one thing that I think we probably forgot to do is, let's go back to our configuration file again. I think we forgot to update the SMTP port. There is port somewhere. Yeah, this port, this is 25 here. It shouldn't be 25. This should be 587. Okay, this is 587. Let us save this. Remember, when you make any updates in configuration file, you have to restart your airflow. Okay, so let's go back to this place and let us do a Ctrl+C to shut down the component. Okay, take note, this is how you're also going to be having errors, okay, in your in real life. When you're at work and you're doing work in production, you're going to be having errors. You just need to spend some time on the error to debug what's causing it. You have to think, what did you do that may have caused this? Did you forget to update something or what? You have to just think through your steps, and that's why most times it's good to write out the steps of what you are working on, so that you can always have a checklist that I've done this, I've done this, I've done that. Then you know that, oh, I think I missed this step, and then you can go back and update that. Okay, so now I will do airflow standalone. I'm restarting right now. Let's see if we are going to be able to run this time around. Oh, I think it ran already. Immediately we initiated the airflow. It ran immediately initiated the airflow. You can see now, Snowflake ETL pipeline. This is just a test. Okay, so I would like to rerun it right now since it ran immediately itself, because it's going to keep refreshing, right? So it was refreshing while we were restarting the airflow. But let us do this. You can see that this ran effective. It ran successfully. Let's do this. Let us rerun it. Let us delete. We can delete this. Let us delete that. And let us rerun. You can see we don't have anything right here. I'm going to minimize this. Let's come right here. Let's come right here. I will turn this off. And then turn this back on, and then come right here, come to grab view, and then I will trigger DAG again, let it run from the beginning. You can see now this has run. This is in queue. Okay, the table is run, the table creation is running. Now it's been done successfully. Now we copied it into the table, and then we want to send notification. Very good, guys. Very good. Awesome. This is great, guys. This now has sent email right to where? Let us see. Let us go to this email. You can see now, guys, that it has sent this email right now to this is just a test, Snowflake ETL pipeline. You can see that we have that right here. I hope you guys understand this right now. You can see now that it's pretty easy for you to execute this type of project, moving data from Amazon S3 bucket into your Snowflake, and then after you load the data, you want to notify the stakeholders that the data has been loaded into Snowflake table by sending out an email. And all this, you can automate them using Airflow that is running in Amazon EC2 instance. I hope you guys understand this right now. If you find this video valuable, I highly encourage you to subscribe to our channel, where you are going to be seeing many more data engineering projects, machine learning projects, and data science projects. Okay, I will highly encourage you to subscribe right now and click on the bell so that you can be notified whenever we release any of our videos. And please do not forget to like our videos. Do not forget to help us to share this video so that more people can benefit from this video. If you have any question or any request that of some other videos that you would like us to make, please put that in the comment section below. And also all the commands and the links that are used in this video, I'll put them in the description. Okay, and also the code that we have right here in our DAG, I'm going to be putting them in my GitHub, okay? So you can go right there and fork it or copy it, okay? All right, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.